4.1, we just talked about what a sequence is in general. It's just a pattern of numbers. And there could be lots of patterns, but we're specifically going to talk about one type of pattern today. And those are referred to as arithmetic sequences, not arithmetic, arithmetic sequences. That is when you can take each term and you add a number to that. So each term is determined by adding a number. The common difference is what we call that number being added. So if we're adding 3 every time, we say the common difference is 3. Now technically, you can also subtract. So if sequences are, if the sequence appears to be subtracting, we still want to think of it in terms of adding.
Yeah, that's what I said. Add, subtract.
Yeah. So if your numbers, if it goes from like 5 to 4 to 3 to 2 to 1, what are you actually adding? What do you add to 5 to get to 4? Negative 1. So we still say that we add, but we add a negative. So the common difference is a negative. I don't want you to get in the habit of saying, well, this is minus 5, because a lot of times you're like, oh, okay, it goes down 5, so you just write 5. You got to be careful. To find the common difference when you're given a sequence, if you can't just tell by looking, sometimes you can see, okay, it's going up by 1 or 2. Sometimes the numbers might not be as nice, or the common difference might be like 23 that you may not see right away. So if you are given a sequence, you can take, let's see. Okay, so if you can take any term minus the previous term. So if you can't tell from one to the next what's happening, you can take any term and subtract the one before it, and it will give you the common difference. So if we look here, these 6, we're going to determine if they are arithmetic. So that means that it is adding the same number every time. It's not that it goes add 1, add 2, add 3, add 4. It has to be plus 1, plus 1, plus 1, plus 1, all the way across. So, and if it is, we're going to determine the common difference. So I have the sequence 5, 8, 11, 14, and 17. Is it adding the same number every time? Yeah, what number is it adding? 3. So 5 plus 3 is 8. 8 plus 3 is 11. 11 plus 3 is 14. 14 plus 3 is 17. If you check all the way down every number that you're given, verify that it is accurate. Yes, it's arithmetic. The common difference is 3. And so if you couldn't tell that it was adding 3, what's 8 minus 5? 3. What's 11 minus 8? 3. You could do it that way. Number 2, is it arithmetic? Yes or no? Is it adding?
Yes, it's
adding negative 7.
Adding negative 7. 23 plus negative 7 is really the same as 23 minus 7. You could also, and I would expect that you check all the way down, but also if you do 2 minus 9, that's negative 7. 9 minus 16, negative 7. Negative 5 minus 2. Take one term minus the one before it. Check all of those. Yes. The difference is negative 7.
The next one's not.
Okay, why do you say that?
Because it's not, don't have a common difference. It adds 1 minute adds.
You can multiply.
1 minute adds 2.
Yeah. So this one, if you look, this is plus 1. That's plus 1. So right now I'm like, ooh, I think it is, but that's plus 2. That's plus 3. So it doesn't stay consistent all the way
Can you not
across.
multiply?
Well, not right now, no. Not for arithmetic. We will do multiplying later. Okay. So if it's not arithmetic, we don't have a common difference. You don't say that there's one because it's not arithmetic. All right, number 4. Yes or no?
Add
What's it adding?
2.
It's adding negative 2. Yep. If you take negative 8 minus the one before it, you get negative 2. If you take negative 10 minus negative 8, you get negative 2. All right, the next one. That one's got decimals. So the best thing probably for you to do would be to go straight to your calculator and test out. So take every term and subtract the one before it to see if you get the same number every time. So if you do 10.3 minus 7.5. Jeez. Need new calculators. These are they never get used. 10.3 minus 7.5 is 2.8. Okay. 13.1 minus 10.3, 2.8. 15.9 minus 13.1, 2.8. 18. You can't just assume that I'm gonna, if I do the first 3, you can't just assume that they're all gonna be the same. You need to check. If it is a question where you are determining if it is arithmetic or not, you gotta check all the way across. But this one is, the common difference is 2.8. All right, I want you to try number 6. How many of you say yes, it's arithmetic? Raise your hand. How many of you say no? Ooh. You didn't raise your hand on either of them. So, what do we think? What do we think it is?
No.
You think it's no? Why? It's.
Well, on this, it's adding, but
Mhm.
the numbers go down, but then they go back up, so.
Not necessarily. No.
So
It's
from
consistent. It's
That's the last one.
consistent.
Okay. What are you?
from negative 16 to negative 6, there's a 10 unit
Number.
difference of
Yep.
10.
Yep.
And then from negative 6 to 6, it's a 12 difference.
Yep. And then 6 to 16 is 10. 16 to 26 is 10. Most people, when you see that, if you're not really careful, you just assume it's 10. I threw that on there because I've seen
I'll still right.
this question. You're right, but not for that reason. So it looks like, if you're not extra careful, it looks like it's adding 10 every time. If you go from negative 17 to negative 7 to positive 7 to 17 to 27, that might show up. So you have to be very, very cautious. Now, when we have an arithmetic sequence, we are going to know how to come up with the explicit formula. So in 4.1, I was just giving you a formula and saying, okay, find this specific term. And I said, we'll learn to write those formulas later. Well, that's where we're coming to right now. So for arithmetic sequences, specifically arithmetic, this is your formula. AN equals A1 plus DN minus 1. Now, AN, that's just in general. That just says any number in the list. Any term. We can find any term by using this formula. What is A1? It's what? Well, in general. What does that mean? The first term. Okay. And then N, that's the number of the term we are finding. So if I want to find the 50th term in the sequence, I would put a 50 where N is. If I wanted to find the third term in the sequence, I'd put a 3 where N is. And that would tell me, when I plug that into the formula, that would tell me what number is actually third down the list. So
we put, for the first term, we put just A1, and then plus D, and then the N is like whatever one you want. So we just add one number in where the N is. That's the only number that we add in.
Actually, when we write a formula, but let's just do an example first. So if we are given this sequence 23, 30, 37, 44. If I want you to write a formula that will allow me to find any term in the sequence, you're going to fill in A1 and you're going to fill in your common difference. What is your A1?
23.
Yep. A1 is 23. What is your common difference? 7, yes. So the formula that I'm going to write, AN equals, you're going to fill in your A1, you're going to fill in your common difference, and you're going to leave N minus 1. That is a formula that will allow you to find any term in the sequence. So now if I say, okay, find the 100th term. Well, you're not going to want to have to add 96 more times. So what you would do is you would say, okay, 23 plus 7. If you were finding the 100th term, you fill in 100 there. That 100th term, the 100th number down the list is going to be a 716. Which if you did plus 7, 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 a whole bunch of times, you'd eventually get that. But the formula makes it faster. Alright, so number 8, we have the sequence 11, 21, 31, and 41. We need A1, and we need the common difference. What is A1? 11. What is the common difference? 10. So a formula that's going to help me find any term in a sequence.
Why do you put A1 instead of AN for like A1 equals?
Well, because I'm just going over here on the side and
Reading wrong.
11 plus 10 n minus 1. I was just... Thank you. Number 9, negative 6, negative 8, negative 10, and negative 12. What is my first term? Negative 6. What is my common difference?
Negative 2.
It is negative 2. Yep, it is. Yep. If you need to check, you can go in a calculator and say, okay, negative 8 minus the 1 before it gives you your common difference. Or you can be like, I think it's negative 2. Negative 6 plus negative 2 is negative 8. But if you're like, is it 2? Negative 6 plus 2 is negative 4. So to get from negative 6 on down, you add negative 2. So the formula, AN equals, that's our A1 plus our common difference. I don't want you to write plus negative. Plus negative is just minus. So it's minus 2 n minus 1.
Do we put it in the calculator like that too?
You can technically plus negative isn't wrong, but it's easy when you have a plus and a negative to mess up going forward with stuff. So get in the habit of just putting minus. Like when you're solving equations, if you have a plus and then a negative, most of the time people solve it incorrectly. So. All right, number 10. What is A1? Yep. What is the common difference? Yep, 0.5 or just 0.5. Or you can put 1/2. So the formula would be AN equals 6 plus 0.5 times n minus 1. Alright, so there is a slight variation we can use to the formula, and this is very beneficial when you're given, not just given like the first few numbers of the sequence, when you're given, like if you see number 11, I tell you what A5 is in the common difference, and I ask for the formula. You don't know A1 right away. So you can actually change the formula slightly to make it work for what you're given. So you can actually use any given term and the common difference to write the explicit formula. And you got to make 2 little changes. So copy this down and then I'll explain it. All you have to do is change the 1 in the formula we used to whatever term you are given. But you got to change both ones. I guess we should put ones plural. So the original formula, we started with A1, and in parentheses there was an n minus 1, which works, which is fine. But if you don't have A1 right away, you can use another number there, as long as you change the n minus to that number as well. So where I have the boxes, you got to change both of those. So number 11, I only give you one term, not the first four, and the common difference. And I want you to write the formula that goes with it. So AN equals, I'm going to rewrite the formula, but because I'm given a 5, I'm going to put a 5 there. A5 plus DN minus 5. So I just tweaked the formula a little bit to make it work. What is A5?
I don't know.
What tells us? What is A5? 2. What's the common difference? 4. So technically, those first 4 that I used, I could have used A2 on any of them, as long as I did n minus 2. I could have used A3 as long as I did n minus 3. You can really use anything. So number 12, instead of using A1, I should probably use
A2,
A...
3, 4, 5, 6.
Look at what you're given. You're given A0.
Oh, well, I thought that's why you were trying to get us to say something.
We can use 0. We won't be using negatives there. So A0 is negative 4. The common difference is negative 2. But instead of writing plus negative 2, what am I going to write? Minus 2. And then what's n minus 0? N. Yeah, you don't even have to write the n minus 0. You can leave it as just n.
But what if you put what if you do put n minus 0? Will you get it wrong?
No. Are there any questions? Alright, so now we're actually going to use the formulas to come up with any term that I ask for. So number 13, I'm giving you the first 4 terms, and I want you to find A17. So you have to do the formula first. And then you're going to plug in n. And I'll remind you of the formula. So on number 13, I want you to go ahead and write the formula. So the formula is AN equals, what's A1? 16. What's my common difference? 2. N minus 1. So that formula will allow me to find any term that I want. Now, what term have I asked for? The 17th term. So A17. We're going to plug in A17 where the n is. And you can type this in from the get-go. And you get 48. So if I were to continue adding 2 every time, the 17th number down the list would be a 48. Number 14. Start with the formula. What is A1? Negative 10. What is the common difference? What do I add to negative 10?
3.
3 or negative 3?
3.
You add 3. So plus 3. And then n minus 1. So that's the formula. And then we're going to use that formula to find which term? The 15th term. So A15. Negative 10 plus 3, and then in parentheses 15 minus 1, 32. Those are fractions. All right. Any questions so far? All right, 15. We're going to start with the formula. A(n) equals, what is A1? 5 over 2. Still a fraction. Ooh. What is the common difference? Well, I'm not sure. You can take any term and you can subtract the one before it. What's the common difference?
How is it 1?
Because you're really, it's when you're adding fractions, you're really adding 2 over 2, which is 1. Because 5 over 2 plus 2 over 2 is 7 over 2. So 2 over 2 is 1. So your common difference is 1.
So anytime it's a fraction, then it's going to be 1.
No, it could be any. So just use your calculator to take one of the numbers and subtract the one before it to figure it out. And so then I'm asking you to find the 13th term. You get 29 over 2. Alright, number 16, I want you to work on that one. Write out the formula. Write out what you would plug in. You don't have to actually solve it because you don't have calculators out right now. But at least get everything ready to where you could type it in the calculator. Alright, formula, you should have wrote 60 plus 4 times n minus 1. And then if I ask you for the I didn't actually ask you for the full formula. So no, not necessarily. But when you are if you're finding the term, I do still expect to see 60 plus 4 times 26 minus 1.
With the n and everything?
It only if it says write the formula, then find the term. Those are two different things. So Yeah. But this one didn't actually say that. 60 plus 4. Oh, you could have done this one. 160. 4 times 25 is 4 quarters. 100. And then 60. Alright, so the next 4. Now these, it would be helpful to write out the formula because we're not going to use A1. We're going to use the term that we're given to find another one. So we have to make that change in our formula. So if we're going to use, if we're given A5, let's use A5, but what do we also need to change? We change.
What's the question? Sorry.
If we're not gonna use A1 because we don't have A1. We have A5.
Arithmetic or whatever formula.
Yeah, we're gonna change that to A5, but I'm also gonna change what else?
Formula.
What else in the formula? The n minus. I'm gonna take the n minus 1 and make that n minus 5. So if we're gonna use an equals A5 plus D n minus 5. So instead of using 1s that my formula started with, I can change to 5s. And I'm finding A18. So what you write should look like that. A5 is 2, because the problem told us. The common difference is 4, because the problem told us. My n is 18, because I'm finding A18, and then I have minus 5. So the 18th term in the sequence is 54. Given A2 equals 6, common difference is -3. We're finding the 42nd term. So I don't have A1. So I'm going to change the formula a little bit. What am I given? 2. A2. So got to make sure we do n minus 2 in the parentheses. If we change it to A2, we got to change it to n minus 2. And we're finding A42. So A2 is 6. The common difference is -3. My n, because I'm finding the 42nd term, because I'm finding A42, my n is 42. And we get -114. I want
You
you.
really do switch up your 4s.
I know. I do my 2s as well. See, look. Number 17, my 2 didn't have the loop. I don't know why. So 19, I want you to go ahead and set up 19. You don't have to actually solve it to get the final answer, but set it up. So we should have, if we're finding A1, we're going to do -8 plus 3 times 1 minus 6. And that's going to give us -23. last one, we'll do this one real quick and then we'll stop for today. We're gonna, before we finish these notes, I've got a booklet that we'll do and then we'll finish the notes. Alright, so here AN equals, I don't want to use A1, I want to use A16 because that's what the problem gives me. I don't have A1 to go with. So A16 plus D n minus 16. So I can't use n minus 1 because I changed to the 16th term. I'm finding A3. I know A16 is 29. My common difference is -1. And my n is going to be 16 because that's the term that I'm finding.
Now you're finding 3.
So the third term, so A3 is 42.